Good day so far? Learning something from the event? All right, we're not going to do this. If you're not awake, we're not having a conversation. If you want to connect, you better be in the room right now. How's everyone doing? Good. There we go. There we go. Exciting times. Happy to be here. Great event. I've been coming to High Tech since it was founded many, many years ago when it was a little table of a couple of people around the room, which was fantastic. How many first-timers? Nice. The ones sitting way in the back. I get it. I get it. Okay. My name is Fernando Rosario. I've been doing consulting for about 22 years, financial services and technology. If I have not met you, I will tell you that I am probably the only electrical engineer that you're going to meet that is afraid of electricity. And I mean that. I am terrified of electricity. I did a startup in Miami. That's where I live, Miami. I travel quite a bit in the US and all over the place. And over the last 10 years, I've been doing executive coaching. I've been doing a little bit of professional development, trying to help people out or for them to help me. I just use that as an excuse so I can learn from them. And one of my favorite topics is about connecting. So raise of hands, how many of you are very good at connecting with others? Yeah. If you go like this, that may mean something. If you go like this, you got it down. Connecting is a science and it is an art. And there's a lot of things that you can learn just by watching somebody else. One of my favorite things, I go to the airport and I like to watch everyone. The way you stand, the way you walk, the way you shake a hand, your tone of voice. Is it high? Is it low? Are you a fast talker? Are you a slow talker? Right? All of that is going to give you insights into how to connect with somebody else. So when you're communicating, the message itself is not as important as the way you say the message. How many of you realize that? Excellent. The message itself, think about that, is not as important as the way you deliver the message. Actually, 55% of communication is nonverbal. Only 7% is what you actually say. Having said that, how many of you know how you sound? Anyone? That's a weird question, isn't it? If you don't know how you sound, you don't know how you come across, which means you don't know how you're connecting with someone else. So today, and this is an exercise that I give everyone, today pick up your phone, call yourself, leave a message, tell yourself a joke. Don't listen to it for 24 hours. Then listen to it, and some of you are going to be changing greetings. Some of you are going to be thinking, is that how I sound? Is that how I come across? So do that, and again, don't listen to it for 24 hours. Good. What are some of the things that you want to talk about today? I know what I have in terms of slides. These slides are for my entertainment purposes only, and this is the last slide, unless I flip to the next one, in which case that one is the last slide. Unless I flip to the next one, which that one becomes the last slide. I'll tell you everything that you need to know, but don't pay attention to the slides. Good? What do you guys want to talk about today? Come on, yell it out. You don't need a mic. Nothing. We're done. I'm sorry? Connecting with upper management. Connecting with upper management. So one of the key, what was that? One of the things about connecting with upper management is you need to understand how they think. The urgency, the priorities, is it worth it to them? How relevant is your conversation? Most of us want to connect by delivering the message that we want them to know. Fact of the matter is, and we're going to talk about that over the rules, is it's not about you. It's about them. What else do you want to talk about? Yell it out.
Talking with people that don't want to hear what you have to say.
Talking with people, and why are you talking to them?
Like you have to work with them. You have to do something, but they already made up their mind that they don't want to listen.
Ooh, made up their minds. How many of you are in the Emerging Executive Program? Okay, so you've heard this, but I'm going to repeat it for those of you who were not. So, it doesn't matter what I tell you today, and this is going to apply to all of you, is there are 3 levels of resistance. 3 levels of resistance. Anything that I say, anything that you say to anybody else, including upper management and someone that doesn't want to listen to you, is going to resist. Resistance level number 1 is very simple. I don't get it. And because I don't get it, I push back. So I heard what you said, but if I don't get it, I push back. Make sense? Resistance level number 2 is I don't like it. I get what you said, I just don't like it. And because I don't like it, I push back. And the example that I use to make it very simple is if I walked to your office and I said, you are fired. You get it? Yeah, you get it. You're pretty smart. Do you like it? No. Not so much. The difference is, and this goes to that question, is that the first resistance level is logical. Meaning you're going to have to tackle it with numbers, facts, whiteboards, PowerPoints, Excels, Word document, whatever it takes for you to explain it to the other individual in such a way that they logically get it. Now, if they've moved to the I don't like it, it doesn't matter that you're using facts or PowerPoints or whiteboards or anything like that because they are in the emotional state, little hearts coming out. And when they're in an emotional state, you have to deal with that emotion. Some of you are thinking, Fernando, don't get too sensitive on us. I don't want to deal with that. But that's the point. You have to acknowledge that they are emotional at this point in time. Now, if they pass resistance level number 1 and resistance level number 2, this is resistance level number 3, which was a shocker to me. I don't like you. Does that make sense? Now, some of you need to understand, and I know you're not going to like it, that some people don't like you. Period. What's the problem? The problem is that they're not going to tell you to your face, usually, that I don't like you, because it's illegal, at least in a professional environment. So they're going to make up all kinds of excuses. It's your time management skills. It's because your public speaking skills. It's because you don't know how to connect with individuals. Fact of the matter is, I don't like you. What happens when you don't like someone? You see the worst in them. You don't like the way they breathe. You don't like the way they eat their food. Is that how you're going to sit there next to me and eat? Is that how we're going to do this? True or false? Now, you may not want to admit it, but you have been part of that problem. You've seen someone that you say, I don't like you. You probably have been in a project that you like the idea, you get the concept, you just don't want to do it with them. Raise your hand if that's true. That's right. We all go through that because we do snap judgments. I guarantee that you've heard somebody's name and you don't like the person just based on the name. True or false? Come on. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. I'm gonna introduce you to Maria. Great. You meet Maria and you think, you're nothing like I expected. Well, what the hell did you expect? You've never met her. But you make a snap judgment. So the reason that I spend a lot of time on that question is because connecting starts way before you even open your mouth. Way before you even enter the room. We can already tell if you've connected or not. How many of you conduct interviews? Yeah? So you know that the interview is probably over within the first 90 seconds. They walk in, you make a snap judgment. You're going to say either I like this person or don't like this person. Yes? If you like the person, they have an easy journey. Because for the next 50 minutes, 55 minutes, you're just having a conversation. But if you don't like that person and the interviewee doesn't know about it, they have 50 minutes to try to convince you of a decision that you've already made. Do you think that's fair? It's not, but you do it, I do it, we all do it. Some of you are thinking, no, Fernando, that's unfair. Yeah, because it says it on the HR rule book, but you still do it. Anything else you want to talk about today? Yes?
Connecting to your team when you don't have authority over them, like formal authority. So you're not the manager, you're telling.
So influencing, persuasion, manipulation. Yeah? Now, manipulation is such a bad word. It's short-lived, but that's what we're talking about. No, I'm not going to teach you how to manipulate, maybe a little bit. But, okay, we will cover that. That's one of my favorite topics. I do what's called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Have you heard of that? Yeah, NLP is basically the science that indicates how do you understand somebody else and why they do the things that they do. What triggers their behaviors, emotions, their values. Why would they make X decision but not Y? How do they stand? How do they walk? How do they talk? How can you put anchor points? How do you trigger a thought? How do you plant a seed? All that good stuff, which is persuasion, not manipulation. Of course, you can use your powers for good or evil. Okay? Anything else? Yes?
Connecting with people that you don't like.
Why do you want to connect with them?
Well, he's my boss and he's
I get it. Is your boss in the room? No? Okay, I'm just checking. We'll cover that. Anything else? Yes?
Connecting with your personal brand, that intersection of personal brand and connecting.
Yes, and we all have a personal brand. Do you know what your personal brand is? Show of hands. If you don't have a personal brand, I will give you one. And that's a big mistake. Because I will judge you the way that I think you should be judged, and that's the end of that. Now you have a big problem trying to get rid of it. So the thing about personal brands is that you need to figure that out today. Why? Because you now start helping people understand what your brand is. And there's all kinds of ways that you can persuade them on your brand. We'll talk about that. Yes, and then come back here.
Is it feasible to connect with someone that you know does not like you?
Oh, yeah. You done? Yes. We'll get into in more details. Is it feasible to connect with someone that doesn't like you? The problem or the challenge here is that we think we need to make them like us. When in fact the matter is, all you have to do is create an environment of mutual respect. Maybe they will never like you, and that's okay. And you use their thought modeling process to your advantage. Not try for them to like you, because as humans, that's what we try to do. I want you to like me. I want you to like me. And what happens is you spend most of the time trying to convince that one individual versus the other 100 that actually like you. And you're wasting time. So we'll cover that. Yes, right here.
Connecting to influence, but a little bit beyond that, connecting with empathy.
Connecting with empathy, if you have empathy. Yeah, because if you don't, it's a problem. Yes, so we'll talk about that.
Connecting at scale with large groups, say like doing a conference talk or a workshop.
Yes, public speaking. So you all realize that public speaking is the #1 fear. And the second one is death. You realize that? So that means, as Seinfeld would say, you would rather be in the box at a funeral than giving the eulogy to the... Doesn't that sound like stupid? It's true, though. So #1 fear, public speaking. #2, death. I'm okay with that. Yes, we'll cover that for sure. Yes?
Know when to have a conversation and not hiding behind email.
Knowing what?
When to have an actual conversation and not hiding behind email.
Yes. Yeah, especially when that person is like 2 offices down. You're like, let me send you an email so we can connect. Same way that you were sitting way back there, but you wanted to connect. I'm just saying, there are little things that we got to keep in mind. You want to connect, then you got to put some of it, some effort into it. Okay, so I'll do a couple of slides real quick. Your job as a speaker in any scenario, whether it's one-to-one, in a small group, a meeting, or a large audience, is to connect. It's not the message, not the slides, to connect. Once you connect, they become open to your message, more receptive. They actually retain the information quicker because you've already connected, which is 80% of your job. Connect, connect, connect. And you connect from the minute you shake somebody's hand, from the minute you smile. And I don't know what the hell is wrong with all of us that we lost the ability to smile. We walk into a room and we're all serious because we think that's the professional thing to do. Hello, my name is Fernando. How about you smile so you can start the connection before? Now, I'm not saying go crazy and want to like this, because it's weird. It's impossible for you to look at a little kid that's smiling and go, I'm not going to smile. It's possible. Why? Because it's contagious. So rule #1, right? You have not rule #1 because I'm messing it up. You have to smile. That's part of connecting with someone else. The way you shake your hand, it's got to be a good handshake. And I'll give you all kinds of tips and tricks and trickery. You know someone who's got a knack for connecting? What makes them good? Yell it out. What makes them good?
The fact that they can talk to people.
They can talk to people. But you like that person before they even talk. They're relaxed. What else? Sincere. But they have to open their mouth to be sincere, and you have to wait a little bit to make sure that they are sincere. They're looking for a win-win. See how we're all jumping to the conversation? Tell me things that you notice about that person before you even talk. I mean, you see them over there talking to Julissa or Omar, and you're like, that person is connecting. What makes them that good? Confidence. Body language. What about body language?
The way they move their hand,
the way they move their hands, the way they stand. Eye contact, not the freaky kind. I tell you, because some people don't even blink. They're like, and that's weird. Here's a trick. I know it's going to sound stupid, but here's the trick. When you meet someone, try to memorize their eye color. Brown, 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 brown. They think you're looking into their soul. You're just thinking, what color are your eyes? But because today is not about content, it's about connecting. The other person thinks we've already established a connection. True, they may ask you a question and you may say brown or blue. No, pay attention. But that's the first thing about connecting with someone. The first few seconds are critical. You know why? Because we all decide within 8 seconds, yes, within 8 seconds, if we like someone or we don't. Now, I didn't say hate them, but we may not like them. Okay? It creates a sense of trust and understanding when you connect with someone. It sets the stage that you can talk about anything, aspirations or afflictions, because there is a true connection. It positions you to influence, persuade, manipulate. It opens up opportunities for the both of you to collaborate because the connection has been established already. All right, rule number 1. It's not about you. It's about them. A connection is about them. Only about them. Why do I keep saying them? Because they decide if it's going to happen or not. You can want it all you want, but they decide if the connection is going to happen or not. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, yep, this is going to work out. Nope, this relationship is not going to work out. It's about the urgency of the conversation. Is what you're saying urgent to me? Somebody asked about connecting with upper management. Well, it depends if you're having a conversation with me about things that I care about and that are urgent. They may be important. They're just not urgent to me right now. They may not be a priority for me right now. It may not be worth it to me to have this 60-minute conversation with you right now. All of those things mean that I can disconnect rather quickly from whatever it is that we're talking. I know that it's important to you. How many of you walk into your supervisor's office or an executive's office and you have a nice deck or your 3 points and they're not paying attention? They're not paying attention because none of these things apply to them at that point in time. They're not interested. It's not worth it to them. I know. I don't want to offend you. Some of you are saying, Fernando, you don't understand my project. You don't understand who I deal with. No, I understand it well. And I'm telling you right now that every once in a while, to them, it's not worth it right now. Maybe tomorrow, maybe this afternoon, but right now, it's not worth it. And what's the lesson from here, from this point, or this rule, is you have to learn when to stop a conversation because it's going nowhere and you're not connecting. Because it's more powerful for you to connect and wait than try to push down your message without a connection. Because that will backfire. Now I know next time that you're looking for me, oh, here she comes again. She wants budget. She's got the most critical project out of the other 15. She's the one. Do you see how that works? So it's not about you. You have to create a unique experience when you want to connect with someone. Everyone has a motivation. Everyone has a motivation, whether it's social, financial, out of discipline. Everyone has something that makes them trigger. In the morning, it may be coffee. I remember having a client in LA. I couldn't get past her secretary. Could not get past her secretary. But I knew that every morning she was in the elevator at 7:30 a.m. with a Starbucks coffee. I just knew that. Coincidentally enough, next week, guess who was in the elevator at 7:30 and had 2 Starbucks coffees? It's such a coincidence that it was me. Now you have 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds for that connection are very important. Now you may say, Fernando, that's stupid. It's not stupid. All that I'm doing is creating a safe environment for the other individual to at least listen to what I have to say. Not convince them, not get them to like me. Just consider that what I have to say may be important. Do you understand how that works? Just consider. There's a really good book called Just Listen. It was written by a former hostage negotiator from the FBI. And he explains, and I think it's a fantastic statement, he explains that when he deals with hostage situations or someone that wants to commit suicide, he's not trying to convince them not to do it. He's trying to get them to consider that what he has to say is worth it. And he explains that that's called the buy-in. It is the hardest part of the actual conversation. He's not trying to convince the person not to commit suicide. He's trying to convince the person to just listen to what I have to say. That's it. Come a step closer. Let's have a conversation. If you still want to commit suicide, we'll figure that out. But for now, just listen. And if you get the person to switch from a very negative state, from a resistant state, to just listening, you've won half the battle. Okay? Every audience is different, which is why you can't have one size fits all. Doesn't matter who you're going to talk to, you need to understand the needs for every individual. You want to connect in a group? Listen, if it's a group setting, you're all standing together, you turn. Good communicators will turn to the person they talk to. They don't just turn their heads. What were you saying? What were you saying? No, they turn full attention. You speak, full attention. Now you're thinking, Fernando, so what? The so what is there are 2 things that we know for sure. Number 1, everyone likes full attention. Number 2, what's the most beautiful sound to each and every one of you? Take a guess. Your name. If you know that and you want to make a connection, use their name, because that's the best thing that they have going for them. Great connectors use your name at least 3 times in the conversation. At least 3 times. We all have a perspective. You may see red, I may see blue, you may see white, I may see black. The idea is to try to figure out what the perspective is for the other individual, and use that thought modeling process to your advantage. So far, so good? Anyone falling asleep? Questions, comments, concerns, or jokes? Is it a joke, Tina?
No joke.
Okay.
What if the connection has to be over the phone?
Yes, great question. What happens over the phone? We haven't gotten to that part in the presentation, but it's all about body language, sound. Remember that I asked you, do you know how you sound? When you're in a conversation, we are very quick to deliver our messages, but the majority of us do not take the time to listen to how the person breathes, their tone of voice, their volume, the pitch, how they sound, when they pause, when they do one of these. That doesn't mean you're doing great. But we fail. Do you have a friend that doesn't know how to tell a joke if their life depended on it? You have that friend? It's similar, right? Yeah. I had, and I said this the other day, I have a friend, I had the prime environment. You know, I had connected with the group, we were having fun, and I'm thinking, this is it, joke time. And I say, a guy walks into a bar, and my friend interrupts and goes, what's the name of the guy? I don't know. That doesn't matter, man. He's like, all right, go ahead with your joke. No, I can't. Like, you've ruined everything that I've been working for the last 20 minutes to set it up, the body language, the connections, the handshakes, the eye movement. I'm reading eyes. You know, I got everything down. He goes, what's the name of the guy? Tell the joke. No, I can't. Go ahead and tell the joke. Anyway, going back to the question. The way they breathe, breathing is very, 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 I'm going to say it one more time, very important. When two individuals are breathing at the same rate, speed, deep breathing. You know where I'm going with this? They're having a good time. And they're having a good time because they have connected at a different level. Think about that. When that happens is in a very intimate scenario. But research shows that if the two individuals are breathing at the same rate, it's because the connection is fantastic. I'm not saying you do that over the phone. All I'm saying is that you listen to the cues. Was it something you said that triggered them to go, oh? Did they pause? That's the time for you to connect by saying, I'm sorry, did I lose you? Did I say something that didn't make any sense? Instead, what do? We continue with our agenda. And we don't know how to read those cues. You can all read when somebody's typing and they're on the phone. Are they paying attention to you? Come on. But what do they say? I'm listening. Go ahead. They're not listening. So all those cues that you get over the phone, you have to pay attention and know when to do what we call break the pattern. Breaking the pattern is rattling somebody's cage. They're expecting X and you do Y. I'm going to show you the simplest example. Can you come over here? You for a second? Yeah. Yes. Get over here real quick. Now this is very rude, but it's done by individuals to break the pattern. Let's say, what's your name?
Alex.
Alex. Let's say that Alex is walking towards me and he's going to shake my hand. So extend. And then you know what happened there? He's going to freak out. He's going to freak out because he's expecting a handshake. And because I refuse to do the handshake, it's not that I'm trying to be rude, it's that I'm trying to get him off whatever thinking process he has. I want to get him off balance. If I get him off balance, then I'm opening. Remember I said I'm opening the room for opportunities. Now this is not just the only way to break the pattern, right? Breaking the pattern could be many things. Could be like, so he's having a conversation. When was the last time you had sex? What? I'm not suggesting you do that with upper management. You get it. Point is, many different ways to break the pattern. The idea is you got to hit them with something that is unexpected. When you hit them with something that is unexpected, they open up their minds. Like if I know Alex is always coming into my office with bad news. He's the bad news person. You all know that person, right? He needs to break the pattern next time that he's coming into my office. Because otherwise, I already don't like him before he even walks in. It's Alex. He's going to bring bad news. Make sense? Thank you, sir. Round of applause for Alex. Thank you. By the way, and I said this the other day, do you know that person that's always saying, I don't want to be the devil's advocate? Then shut up. You don't want to be. We don't want you to be. It's a win-win. But don't talk anymore. All right. The audience may be more important than the topic. So you have to do your research. You have to understand who you're having a conversation with, even if it's one person, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the news, Google, whatever. Understand who you're talking to. Number one, ask the right questions. Get them to think. You know what the easiest way to make a connection in a social event is? I'm going to tell you right now before you ask. Everyone could connect if the other person is interested in you, right? Because they're already interested in you. Therefore, you can easily use that to your advantage and connect. How do you do that, Fernando? Very simple. It takes practice. But the idea is that you have to say something, make a statement that makes the other person ask you a question. I'm going to tell you how that works. I'm going to repeat it again. You have to make a statement and then leverage the power of silence. How many of you are uncomfortable with silence? We all are. If it's long enough, you'll be very uncomfortable. If you know that simple trick, use it to your advantage. I can say statements such as, wow, you know how executives these days are not getting professionally developed. Then look at you in the eyes and, chances are you're going to break under pressure. What do you do? Well, I'm glad that you asked. Let me tell you what I do. See, now you flip the script. They want to know about you. And you're saying, Fernando, that's stupid. It's not stupid. The brain doesn't know the difference between you wanting to be interested in me or me making you want to be interested in me. Did you know that? The brain doesn't know the difference in public speaking, fear. It doesn't know the difference between you having to speak in public and being fearful about it or a tiger chasing you. Did you know that? The brain has no idea what the difference is. It behaves the same way. You start to sweat. You're nervous. You're anxious. Same way you would if a tiger was chasing you. The brain has no idea what the difference is. And that's one of the simplest tricks you need to remember when you connect with individuals. You have to know how to trigger their thoughts. You know how to read the eyes? Anyone? Yeah? If you've been to my workshops, I'm going to tell you right now. If I were to tell you right now, go ahead and think about a purple elephant wearing a pink thong. Go ahead. Yeah. Majority of you looked up and to the right. You know why? Because looking up means you're looking for something visual. To the right means you're trying to create a memory that hopefully you've never seen. I'm hoping. If I said, recall what you had for breakfast, chances are you're going to look up and to the left because this is where we have our memory banks. If you look center to the right, you are creating a sound. If I said, imagine the sound of I don't know, something made up, you're going to look straight to the right. If I said, recall the first sound you heard this morning, chances are you're going to look straight and to the left because you're recalling a sound. And if somebody looks down, that means they're thinking, kinesthetic. Fernando, what does that have to do with anything? When you're connecting with someone, let's say that I'm having a conversation with Omar, and I get to the point that I ask a question, and he looks down, shut up. Because what that indicates is you got the person thinking, and that's where you want him or her thinking. But what do? Did you get it? Did I explain it? Do you have any questions? Is your problem with that? Shh. Let them think. How many of you have lost keys? Now you're like, where's my keys? I don't remember my keys. What do? Where did I leave them? Well, if I knew, I wouldn't be asking you, right? You want to help someone remember where their keys are? I just told you how the eyes work. So next time, stand up real quick. Just come over here real quick. It'll take a second. All of this works, and you just got to try it out. If he's telling me, Fernando, I lost my keys, I don't remember where my keys are, chances are that I would say, where did you leave them last? And do something like this with my hand. Sounds stupid, right? No, I'm forcing his eyes to go up and to the left. And when I force the eyes to go up and to the left, not the whole head. When I force him, right, I'm not telling him, look over there. No, I'm just forcing him to go look up and to the left. I give him a better chance to remember where the keys are because that's where he stores information. He just doesn't know it. Make sense? Thank you, sir. Yep. Make sense? How many skeptics do I have so far? They can tell me. They can tell me. All right, here's a trick you want to do. That works because it's part of mirror and pacing. So what I want you to do, and it takes practice, right? Next time you go to a restaurant or anything like that, pick someone. Doesn't matter who. Pick someone. I'm gonna look at him for a second. About this distance. Raise your hand so they know about what distance we're talking about. Just raise your hand about this distance. And when he picks up the glass of water, whatever he's drinking, you do the same at the same time. When he crosses his arms, you do the same time. Don't even look at him, because it's weird. He picks up the fork, you pick up the fork. Takes a bite, you take a bite. And you do that. You keep doing that for a while, you're creating what we call a connection via mirror. Chances are that once the connection is made, if you pick up the glass, he'll pick up the glass. You know that? Try it out and then tell me if it doesn't work. Focus on their desires, not yours, not what you want to connect. It's about them. Use evidence that they find credible, not you, they find credible. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them. It's not showing the numbers that you think are important. You got to show the numbers that they think it's important. And you have to relate to your audience, whether it's you find common ground, you make a joke, whatever the case may be, you have to connect with them at that level. Once you connect with them, it's easy going. Questions so far? No? Skeptics? Okay. Number 2, break the pattern, which I just showed you with tying my shoes. Learn how to, when you break somebody's behavior, what they think you're going to do, again, you're opening their minds up to better and new alternatives. That's how the game is played. And TV break your patterns all the time. There are individuals breaking your pattern all day long. You just don't realize it because they do it with little stupid things. Like, I know we have a little bit of time and you want to get to the point of the conversation, but I'm going to ask you about your weekend. How was your weekend? And even though you go back to the agenda, I go like, but was your weekend okay? You know what I'm doing? I'm breaking your pattern. I know that's what you want to talk about, but I'm going to force you to break that habit because it's not to my benefit. And to my benefit is to connect with you. Now, some of you are thinking, Fernando, but you may annoy the person. That's a chance that I'm willing to take if the connection is going to be stronger. So you got to learn how to play that game. Rule number 3, be authentic, open, and transparent. People buy you, not what you're selling, not your product, not your service, not your status report. They buy you. I bet you that you at some point in time, you've delivered really bad news and it wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't a big deal because you have a connection with that person. But when you don't have a connection with someone and you deliver the slightest bad news, we ran out of coffee. Have you seen somebody blow their gasket because there was no coffee? I have. That's because I don't like you. Which brings me to rule number 4. Not everyone likes you, which means some people will never hit like button just because it's you. They love what's happening in the picture. I'm just not going to hit like. I don't like you at all. You know someone like that? Are you that person? Because you could be. Statement from Roberto Bolaño, which I like. People see what they want to see, and what people want to see never has anything to do with the truth. It's all about the perception. Perception, which is why your brand, to the earlier question, is so important. If someone were to call you drunk 3 times, you might as well lay down because you're a drunk. If somebody keeps saying you're such a joker, you are a joker. If somebody keeps saying you're such a troublemaker, ha ha ha, the fact that they add the ha 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 at the end means nothing. They're calling you a troublemaker. They're just adding the ha 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 to make it more comfortable for them delivering the message. So perception is everything, and not everybody likes you. How many of you are not comfortable with that statement? Be honest. A lot of us are not comfortable. This is why it's so important and why I mention it as a rule. It's very important because you're going to be wasting a lot of time trying to convince someone to like you. And it's not up to you, it's up to them. Remember rule number 1? It's not about you, it's about them. So you may have a room of 100 individuals and you're focused on this one person and you want them to like you. And what you're doing is you're dismissing the connection that you could have with the other 99. Because that's how our brains work. When there's a little bit of a problem, we focus on that problem, even though everything else looks shiny. Likability factor is a strong predictor of how successfully or not people connect. Number one, your reputation plays into your likability factor. Your brand, which we talked about, and your values and beliefs. Your values and beliefs say a lot about you. Let me ask you this. How many of you actually look where your name or your email address appears in a distribution list? If you haven't, you will start doing it from now on. And some of us are going to figure out, why was I the last one in the email list? Did you not like me? Some of you, because that's how the brain works, will justify it by saying it was in alphabetical order. Sure. I bet that they took the time with the 20 emails to put them in order. How many of you have felt left out because you were not invited to a meeting? And what do? You don't invite them to your meeting next time around. Come on. We're going to be honest. We got to be honest. You know what that is? That is what we call the ladder of inference. The ladder of inference says that you see and you hear things. And then the next step of the ladder of inference is that you filter whatever you saw or heard. And once you filter that information, you get to an assumption of the information that you saw, and you filter. Once you reach an assumption, you get to a conclusion. Once you get to a conclusion, you take action. Once you take action, you update your internal belief system so it doesn't happen again in the future. Simple example. If you saw someone with their arms crossed, what does that mean? Yell it out. They're not receptive. What else?
Rejection.
Rejection. What else?
I'm bored.
I'm bored. What else? Cold. What else? I don't like you. Good, you're listening. Anything else? It doesn't mean a damn thing. It means that you all went through the ladder of inference. You saw someone with their arms crossed. You filtered just the arms, not that their feet were dancing. You make an assumption they're closed off, they're not interested, they're bored. You reach a conclusion, and you take action. I don't want to talk to you because you have your arms crossed. Next time that you see someone with their arms crossed, instead of going through that process, you just say, I don't want to talk to you. You're closed off. It doesn't mean a damn thing. Imagine now when you're trying to make a connection and each person has their ladder of inference at play. You think that's what it means, I think this is what it means, and we're going to keep battling it out, and we're not going to get into an agreement. That's a problem. So if you're taking anything away from today, do not fall into the ladder of inference trap. How many of you have received that message from your spouse or somebody else that says, you haven't texted me all day, that means you don't love me? It doesn't mean a damn thing, I was busy. But I guess if that's how you want to play it. You laugh because you know it's true. You haven't reached out to me in a month, so I'm no longer your favorite. No, I've been busy, but I still like you. Okay, questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
The whole crossing the arms
Yes.
thing has been taught many times as being like scientifically proven that it portrays those negative perceptions. Has research changed on that?
Research hasn't changed. Is that we're trying to put everything as a one-size-fits-all. The same way that you may hear that having your hand in your pocket is not comfortable, is not professional. It doesn't make a connection. Now, I bet that if you were a fan of Jay Leno, who's got his hand in his pocket the whole time, you would think he's very relatable, he's approachable, right? It's all about the individual and how you come across. We have just been taught and trained and perpetrated the fact that if I see somebody with their arms crossed, that means that they're closed off. I do this all the time. I'm exhausted. I may be smiling. That makes sense? Like it's individualizing the information and the data bits that you're getting back from your interaction. Just learn how to read them. Yes?
I feel like you're giving conflicting information.
I love it. Finally, somebody call it out. Yeah.
Because
Bring
you're
it.
saying, look at the way their eyes are moving and how they're breathing, but you don't know if they just walked up the steps. And you're telling us to
That's a great point. Now, keep in mind that what I'm talking about is part of it is thought processing. Another one is just behavior. What do I mean by that? If you look up, it doesn't matter what I think you're doing or not. I know that that's a physical reaction to something visual. I just know that for a fact. Now, I should, that's a good point. I should mention that it's not 100% accurate. It's not. These are some body language indicators that you just need to watch out for. And now that you understand the ladder of inference, don't jump to conclusions. So if you see someone with their arms crossed, it could be that they're closed off, but it could be that they're just cold, or it could be nothing. All I'm asking you to do is not go up that ladder of inference and make an assumption, do a judgment call, and disconnect from the other individual because you don't know. However, the other individuals that have not been in my workshop or have not participated in a body language communications influencing seminar don't know that, so they're going to continue to act the same way. And when they act the same way, all I'm giving you are tools to see how you can connect with them easier, faster. That's it. Make sense? It may be that they look up and to the left and they're not recalling anything. That's okay. But at least there's a good chance that you know it could be something. This is so important, and you can look it up, that even the FBI agents use it when they're trying to determine if somebody's lying or not. Because they look at the eyes. Were you there last night? Yes. Now, some of you are going to ask me, Fernando, what about if I'm left-handed? It doesn't matter. Now, it is worth mentioning, and don't get hung up on reading the eyes. This is just one of 1,000 things that we can talk about today. We do, some people have that system inverted, which means when they look up and to the left, they're actually creating a memory. How do you know? What we do is we ask calibration questions. I'm going to talk to you for a little bit. Ask questions to which I know the answer to. And because I know the answers, now I'm calibrating where you look. Once I calibrate, now I know if your system is inverted or not. Make sense? Don't get hung up on reading the eyes or doing a handshake or standing, and all that good stuff. This is just to create awareness or how you connect. Can I use you as an example? Come on over real quick. Body language. When you connect with someone, come on over here real quick. Thank you. Your name is? And Veronica. Thank you. Watch how Veronica is squared away with me. Studies have shown over and over that women don't have a problem at all standing and looking at you straight in the eyes, squared away. Men slightly tilt. Have you noticed that? Has anybody noticed that? If you haven't, just today when you're walking around and you see people talk, women will be like this. We're talking. Not that that's how they sound, but I'm in inclusion and diversity too. Men, it doesn't matter. Just help me for a second. They usually are like this. They can shake hands, they can talk, or like this, but rarely do they do this. Well, I don't know if it's because of a cowboy movie or they think, but it's confrontational. What does that have to do with anything or connecting? Simple. If I am going to talk to a female, chances are that I don't have to worry about looking at her straight in the eyes, just squared off. But if it's a guy, Fernando, will force that I'm going to be tilted. Even if I'm comfortable with this position, I'm going to tilt a little bit because I don't want the other person to feel uncomfortable in this scenario. Does that make sense? Thank you very much. Round of applause to Veronica, please. I know some of you are skeptics. I get it. You just have to try it and then come back to me. But don't knock until you try it. Rule number 5, wrap your points in stories, because we don't learn with facts, we learn with stories. You all remember the stories that they told you in family gatherings. They were 20 years ago, and you still remember the details. True or false? But if I ask you what's policy 113, do you know what that is? I have no idea. You do not steal paper from the file cabinet. Not because policy 1305 says you shall not steal from the file cabinet. You know Jimmy got fired for stealing paper, and that's why you don't take it. It's a story versus a policy or a fact. which means when you present to upper management, the more ways you have to tell a story, the better off you are. I'm not saying a joke, a good story, which means learn how to tell a story the right way. Maybe you are the person that doesn't know how to tell a joke. Then you need to get to practice. You know how you get comfortable talking to strangers? Next time that you see someone lost asking for directions, offer them directions. What if I don't know where they're going, Fernando? It doesn't matter. Have them do 3 right turns. They will be back to the same spot, and you'll be long gone by the time they get here. Remember, I'm not helping them. I'm helping you to talk to strangers. It works. They'll be fine. We are drawn to the narratives of stories. People don't remember facts. I talked about that. Stories, it takes you to the other person's world. You know how stories work too is you have to make sure that you're using the other individual's thought modeling process. What does that mean? I'm not going to go through the exercise, but I would do something like this. If I ask you to close your eyes, don't go ahead and do it. If you want, you can do it. But if I ask you to close your eyes, I would say something like, imagine that you are in front of your house. I want you to look at the door. I want you to go ahead and grab the knob of that door and feel the weight of the knob. Go ahead and turn it and walk in. Once you walk into your house, take a deep breath and think about what it smells like in your house. After you do that, walk all the way to the kitchen. Once you're in the kitchen, take a look around. Go ahead, take another deep breath and smell your kitchen. Once you do that, go to your drawer and pick out your favorite knife. Once you have your favorite knife in your hand, I want you to walk over to the fridge, open it up and pick out a lemon. Take that lemon in your other hand, walk over to your counter, and using your favorite knife, go ahead and cut a wedge of the lemon. Once you cut the wedge, go ahead and take a big bite out of the wedge. For those of you who are actually following the exercise, you actually can taste the lemon. You go, don't like that. Why would that work? Let's make this interactive. Why would that work? Such a simple story. Why would you even taste the lemon? Any guesses?
Memory and all everything that's stored in your head that's associated with it?
That's part of it, yes. Any other reasons? That's part of it. Yes.
You're in a familiar environment.
Oh, tell me more about that.
You're in your house.
But this is very good. What about the story helped you with the familiar environment?
You're in your house.
I'm sorry?
So you're going to really picture because you know the environment.
Thank you. This is very, very important. I don't tell you what your door looks like. I don't tell you what your doorknob looks like. I never said if it was a white door, a red door, black door, it doesn't matter. I don't tell you how your house smells. I never told you what your favorite knife is. I never described your fridge. You see where we're going with this? I let you fill in the blanks to my advantage. Which means to each and every one of you, the story, although stupid, I get it, it's personalized. You all imagine a different knife. You all saw a different door. You also or smell your house in a different way. I'm not making it up. Had I started saying, look at your white door and X knife, I would lose you. The connection would be gone because that's not what you see. And that's a problem. Think about it now. When you're having a conversation with someone else, let them fill the blanks for you. That's how you connect. You're having a conversation with upper management, say enough information that they are able to put their thoughts into your story. Once they have their thoughts, it's personalized and you have to do nothing. Make sense? This is very, very important when you tell a story. Questions? Yes.
What do you do in situations where people are great at telling stories, but they just don't deliver? They just,
Say that one more time?
if you, situations where people are great at telling the story, but they can't deliver.
They can't execute. Well, remember that today's conversation is about connecting. I cannot help you if you actually do not perform. Valid question, but that's a completely different session, right? What we're talking about is I want to make sure that you're able to connect within the first 90 seconds. You have to deliver, but it's worse that if you can't make that connection, even if you deliver, some people still find ways to criticize it. True or false? Like even when you do your best job, you could have done faster. It could have been easier. But if they like you, that was fantastic. They will come up with ideas or justifications that are great. That example about the story works because the human brain is perfectly designed to generalize, distort, and delete information. I'm going to say that again. The brain is perfectly designed to generalize, delete, and distort information. And I'm going to prove it to you. All of you have been in a situation where you tell a story, where you decide what facts you want to leave out, because you determined they were not relevant for the conversation. True or false? You're deleting a whole lot of stuff. Imagine if that happened in a courtroom. The witness decided to leave out some details that he or she thought were not relevant for the case. How would that go for you if you were the one on trial? Let me decide what's relevant. But they know that. That's why they do cross-examination, and that's why they dig, because they know that you are leaving information out somewhere, or you're generalizing or distorting the information. If you know that fact, you got to use it to your advantage. And yes, failure stories and dramatic stories actually are better stories to take your point across. They trigger chemical changes in your brain that get the other person to retain the information and like you. I'm not going to go through the entire slide, but it's basically the connection that you make with the other individual with a story that makes it relevant and gets your point across, and they like you. Anyway, this is the whole science behind it. You don't need to know it. Yes?
I have a question. When you talk about leaving that information out,
Distorting the information or deleting the information.
for general, women give a lot more detail. Like when we say a story, I give you all the details. When my husband said the same, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
It's point of view, right? So I wonder when you try to connect in a work environment and your boss is a man, and then I'm giving all my emotions, my detail, how does it feel? Like how do we handle that? Is it good, bad? I mean, what are you suggesting?
Remember rule number 1? It's not about you. It's about the other person. So you can use all the details that you want as long as it applies to the other individual. Rule number 2 or number 3, I don't remember which one it was, it said that you need to know your audience. See, this is a perfect example of understanding how you are. The problem is, I don't care how you are. It's the other person who's going to decide if they're going to connect with you. So you need to figure out and stop yourself when you're either given too many details or too few details. And depending on the audience, you need to adjust. Maybe this person requires more details. Maybe they don't. Shh. Does that make sense? Not about you. It's about the other person, and you need to understand how they think. Fernando. If you were to call me on the phone, you better state what the objective of the conversation is within the first 10 seconds. If not, I do not listen. That's how I'm wired. I'm not saying that's how you're wired, but my expectations are that if you call me and you just want to chat for no other reason, if you said, Fernando, I'm just calling to catch up, great. My brain says, giddy up. Let's catch up. If you don't say that in Fernando's world and you start talking, I'm wasting my time. Because I'm thinking, what's the point? What do you want? Are we doing something? Do you want me to ask? I mean, do you want to ask me of something? Do you want me to do something? What's the action here? And you're like, oh, well, I'm telling you about da-da-da. I'm like, I don't know. But if you had said, this is why I'm calling you, okay, I get it. Does that make sense? Know your audience. Know your audience. Yes. Is this, by the way, are you learning something new? Is this okay? Are we going the right direction? Yeah. We can switch.
What about when you're trying to connect with a stranger? You're at a conference, you don't know anything about the person. You have no way to do any research. You just
Okay. What about it?
What do you do to connect with the stranger?
Okay, so if a stranger wants to meet you, what would they have to do?
Come and talk.
I'm sorry?
Come and talk.
Okay, and if they come and talk to you, you'll be happy with it. You wouldn't find it weird?
It depends if you're at a conference or not.
It depends what?
If you're at a conference.
If you're at the conference. But it's the same thing as an elevator pitch. I'm not a big fan of the elevator pitches because if I'm in an elevator and you turn to me and go like, hey, my name is Tommy, like, whoa. Don't know what you want. I know what you're saying. I ask you, how do they connect with you? Because you need to understand your audience. So some people, by nature, are going to be away from the spotlight, right? They don't want to be approached. Other people are just introverted. They're just not going to be the ones making the first step. They want to be approached. You need to understand who you want to meet and how to tackle it. How would I do it? I would analyze you for at least a minute before I approach you. I need to figure out who you're hanging out with. Are you smiling? Are you laughing? Are you having a bad day? If you're having a bad day, I'm not even going to approach. See, the thing is, we think this is a transaction. It's not a transaction. You have to understand how you approach someone. I don't know if that answers your question. It's difficult because you need to understand who the stranger is. Now, you're inevitably going to ask me, Fernando, but I don't have a way to find out anything about that stranger. Yes, you do. The way they dress, the way they stand, the way they look at you. They look at you in the eyes. Are they looking somewhere else? Are they fidgety? Are they not even looking at you? Like, how many of you have been in a situation where you try to break into a group and nobody even opens up a little space for you? Yes? Isn't that a hint for you to go away? But why us as individuals, we try to like, let me scoot you in. Like, 1 second. They don't want you there. But if you're welcome, it opens up like the seas, right? Like, oh, ta-da! You need to learn how to read those signs. You've all been in a conversation that you want to walk away from, and the individual just follows you. They even get in front of you and walk backwards. Yes, let me. Is that not a hint? Easiest hint ever. If you're having a conversation, look at their feet. If their toes are pointing somewhere else, they're telling you, I want to go. You're holding me. You're holding me hostage. And all you have to do is look down. If I'm like this, and we're having a conversation, mind you, I'm not tilted like I explained earlier for a handshake. No, I'm like this. I'm just waiting for you to let me go. True? So reading a stranger takes a lot of time, but you have to learn how to do it. I can tell you all kinds of tricks. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, with this rule number 6, is there a certain approach based on your gender? All the other rules seem to be, those.
Genderless.
Yeah.
Yes and no. You need to understand it's all about understanding who you're dealing with, right? Male, females, in my experience, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you actually pay attention to the way they're behaving seconds before you walk in, right? Are they, for example, there's nothing more annoying to a fast talker than who? Slow talker. Say it. Say it. You start finishing up their sentences, right? Like, high tech. The opposite is true. There's nothing more annoying to a slow talker than a fast talker. So, that's genderless.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the emotional level, right? Like at that level, right? 'Cause I think
Okay, yes, sorry. Emotionals. We are all emotionals. Even if you're a guy, a woman, it doesn't matter. 90% of decisions are made based on emotions. You might put up a front, I'm macho, and I don't have any emotions. We all have emotions. You just got to know how to scratch that emotion the right way. With males and females, it's the same process. You have to find out. Have you never cried watching a movie? Never. Okay, good. Well, some people say, I never cry. Yes, you do. We haven't seen you cry, but you do. But the point is, we all have the same emotions. We just have to scratch the right way. I got to find out what triggers. That's what I was referring to with NLP, right? I have to figure out what's your trigger point. That's all I need to do. I just need to figure it out. Now, it may take a little bit longer for you than somebody else, but all I have to do is be patient and get to that point. That's all I need to do. And I can do that by reading your body language. Maybe at part of the conversation, you breathe harder, or you stop, or you pause, or you choked up a little bit, whatever the case may be. I'm just looking for the emotional entry point. Now, once I find it, it's like sharks smelling blood. I know that's what triggers you, and I'm going to go after it. The reason I'm not giving you specific examples is because I would have to be, or you would have to be in the situation to understand what is it that I'm going after. And hopefully you walk away from today's conversation understanding, I'm not saying this is easy. Connecting is a science and an art. I'm giving you a whole bunch of tools that you put into practice. Don't look at someone and be like, oh, you look up and right, you're lying. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. Don't go placing anchors on everyone. That's not the point. Do you know what an anchor is? Who does not know what an anchor is? All right, can you come over here real quick? Yes, you, sir. Oh, boy. By the way, I love this. Well, anyway, come on over. What's your name? Santiago. All right. If I am going to meet Santiago, and he's having a conversation, can you come over here real quick? Sorry. Stand right there. Stand right there. Let's say they're having a conversation. This is how an anchor works. Don't go trying these all at the same time because it's going to blow up. They're having a conversation, whatever, and I want to meet Santiago, and turn a little bit so people can see Santiago. But yeah, imagine he's in front of him. It doesn't matter. And I want to meet Santiago. They're having a conversation, and he laughs, right? Just pretend you're laughing, yes. At that moment in time, I may place an anchor. This light touch is an anchor. And then I let go. They keep talking. He laughs again, anchor. They keep talking. He laughs again, anchor. What am I doing? Yeah, you're wondering, right? Yeah. I am anchoring the state of laughter, happiness at that point in time to this anchor right here. Which means when I actually want to meet Santiago, chances are if you see me, I will shake his hand. How are you doing, Santiago? Because I am trying to recall the anchor of a good state of mind from Santiago. Does that make sense? I'm going to prove it to you. How many of you saw the movie Jaws? Yes? To this day, if I ever heard the music of Jaws and I am in a pool, I will jump out. That is an auditory anchor that they placed on all of us, so that dun dun, dun dun. You see what I'm saying? It's an auditory anchor that places an emotional fear of sharks and water to a sound, which means when you hear that sound, you don't think about Disney World, you think about a shark. It works the same way. Some of you are thinking, how do I do this? Well, that's the advanced course. Right? You don't go touching people. Because Omar is going to kill me. Don't go touching people. All I'm saying, there's auditory anchors, there are physical anchors. It's for you to find a way on how do you connect with the other individual, right? Even if I've already connected and we're having a conversation, you will see me. I'm being vulnerable. You will see me. If we're having a really good time, ha, 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 bam, anchor. Ha, ha, bam, anchor. Next day, next day, chances are that if I run into Santiago, I guarantee Fernando Rosario will be like, what's going on, Santiago? Because I want to place him. I want to place him in the right state of mind. Makes sense? I know some of you are skeptics. I get it. Try it out. Not everybody at once. Try it out. Round of applause for this gentleman right here. Thank you. Did you notice that even when they stood up here, they never squared off? Yeah. Do you notice that? Did I say anything? Nope. I was trying to prove the point too, that that's exactly how it works. That's just how it works. Any other questions? Okay, are you with me so far? We're almost done. Hang in there. Blah, 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 don't worry about that. Smile. Listen carefully. Use their name. 3 times at a minimum. That's the most beautiful sound in the world. Same way that when you look at a group picture, who do you look for first? Yourself. And then there's everybody else. Now
However, when they're using their name, I find it creepy when there are people that use your name like every sentence.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's weird. He's like, it's creepy when you use the name every sentence. Yes, that's creepy. Same way when you don't blink and look at somebody. Same way if you're placing anchors all the time. You're gonna drive somebody crazy. You need to have some common sense, but usernames, be aware of their state of mind. You need to learn when to walk away, when it's not a safe place to have a conversation or connect. Because the same way that an anchor was placed intentionally, you may be placing an anchor of either fear, anger, you're the bearer of bad news, right? Those anchors get placed all the time. So if the person is in a bad state, I gave this example the other day. I was taking a sales training many years ago, and real clients, and we walk into the client's office, and he says, tough weekend, I just had a family death. Awkward silence. And then my partner says, so what does that mean for the project? Dude! State of mind. And then we get the feedback. He's like, you should have walked away. And I'm like, yes, we should have, buddy. We should have. But no. What does that mean for the project? Appeal to their senses. Can I stress this enough? To their senses. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, the whole thing. Use it to your advantage. Use it to your advantage. Don't overstay your welcome. You want to connect with someone? Don't overstay your welcome. Have you ever been tried to get away from a conversation and the other person just doesn't get the hint? That happened to me last night at the hotel bar. My brother, we're not even connecting. We're not having a conversation. You keep coming back, and I don't know what. Too many drinks. That's all. Be careful. Mind the body language. We've talked about that. Appearance. Some of you are saying, I get this all the time. Well, Mark Zuckerberg wears a t-shirt. Well, if you're Mark, you can do that. But if you're not, you have to dress the part. Dress the part, because it's not about you, it's about them. And you have no idea if I'm making a judgment call based on how you're dressed. And if I don't like that, okay, here we go. Have you ever met someone that is wearing a perfume or cologne that reminds you of a crazy ex? Anyone? Do you like that person? No, because you're thinking about a crazy ex. You know what that's called? An anchor. That's an anchor. It takes you back to that scenario, and now you are not being liked for somebody else's actions. If you know that, what would you do? Pop quiz. I'm sorry?
Don't wear it.
Don't worry, but that's too late. You're already in the room. What will you do? I'm sorry?
Talk over the phone.
So I can't hear you.
Talk over the phone.
Talk over the phone? But you're already there. You're bam.
Break the pattern. Break the pattern.
Say it out loud.
Break the pattern.
Break the pattern. The best thing that you could do is say, that perfume reminds me to a crazy ex. You laugh, but what you're doing is you're airing out the stress. You're letting it out. You're not holding it in, and now you've cleared the scenario. If you hold it in, you're going to be having a conversation with that person thinking, I remember when. Okay? Keep that in mind. Tone, pitch, and volume, mirror and match. We all got that, right? Mirror and match? Try it out today. If you're in a family gathering or you're with friends, once you build rapport, once people are comfortable, you will notice that all of them, majority of people, will be standing with the same posture. Have you noticed that? If you haven't been paying attention. Again, if you're in a family gathering, friends, a circle, whatever, once you reach a certain point of comfortable environment, everyone is either going to stand the same way, or chill out, or be sitting the same way back. That's how this works, mirror and pacing. Which means if you're ever in an interview and the interviewer crosses their arms, what should you do? Yeah, cross your arms. Like, Fernando, I don't know, cross your arms. When they uncross their arms, you wait, uncross them. Why does it work? Because you're creating a safe environment for them. You know why it works? It's very simple. Because we like people that act like us. Because if you act like me, I love you. You must be very smart. True or false? We have the same tastes, and I like that. Monkey see, monkey do. Do you even know where that came from? Monkey see, monkey do? You've heard the term. Do you know where it came from? Anyone? Studies were done over and over where they gave a monkey a banana and they studied how the brain was triggering. Then they only showed the banana and figure out that the same triggers were firing off. Monkey see, monkey do. So they didn't actually have to give the banana. They only had to create an environment where the monkey thought there was a banana and the same triggers fired. What does that have to do with anything? That you don't need to actually go through the exercise for you to feel something in your head. All I need to do as an individual is create the environment for you to figure out it is the environment I want you to be in. So if I want to create a state of happiness, I don't have to take you to Disney World or anything like that. I just have to create the environment around you so I get those firing mechanisms to go off and get you in that state of happiness. Monkey see, monkey do. Look it up. And we are like monkeys. Questions? Falling asleep? Are we good? No jokes, no questions? Yes, sir.
Throughout the entire talk today, you haven't mentioned anything about cognitive biases, and I wonder how that would impact a lot of these things.
Like unconscious bias and all the training that you've been taking, right? Yeah, I did this. We had this conversation about a month ago in a different client. Here's the thing. We all have unconscious bias, and it's a bad thing. We got to figure it out. But the problem is that until we get to that point and everybody can guarantee that you're not being biased towards me, I need to understand how I handle the situation with you. So unconscious bias is something that we need to get away from. But as a human individual, we have some of those very ingrained in our DNA. We just judge. Right? When you walk into a room to have lunch, you look at the table you want to sit based on the people that you want to sit with. Don't you think you're judging? Now, if you really, truly had no unconscious bias, you can sit anywhere, but you're not going to do it. Are you going to do it because you took the unconscious bias training last week? Are you going to stop judging people because you did that? If you did, let me know, because I would like to take that training. In the meantime, this talk is about connecting. And I could only hope that people start stopping with their unconscious bias. But I can't be inside your brain. I can't do that. In the meantime, I can teach you about the ladder of inference, about mirror and pacing. I can talk about anchors. I can tell you how to smile. I can tell you how to make a quick connection, how to convince somebody in 90 seconds. In the meantime. And I'm hoping that you don't have those unconscious bias working against me. But even if you do, at least I know how to combat them. Yes? It's okay for everyone with that? Okay. Put your network to work. Making a connection could be as simple as not making the connection yourself. Let your network make the connection for you. And if you can do that, then you skip all of the things that I just talked about. That's why referrals work. When somebody you trust refers someone else, are you not more likely to accept that person? Of course you are. They came highly regarded in a referral. But the opposite is true. When somebody you don't like refers you to someone in their network, what happens? I don't want somebody like you over here. You see how that works? So put your network to work the right way. Rule number 9, master the art of small talk. Make sure that you have 5 to 10 topics, 3 to 5 jokes, 3 to 5 news headlines, Something that you can, in a moment's notice, go, what? This is my topic for today. Master the art of small talk. Remember, use powerful questions. Avoid the yes or no questions. I was telling the story the other day. I was in India, and I remember saying, hey, do you have a bathroom? Yes. Is it in this building? Yes. Would you tell me where it is? Yes. Where is the bathroom? It's right over there. This happens with upper management all the time, right? We make assumptions, we're not asking the right questions. If you ask the right questions and listen, you're going to get a lot of information. Listen to what is not being said. What they're not saying, that's what you're looking for. And ask the question, what's in it for them? We're having a conversation, what's in it for them? Remember rule number 1? It's not about you, it's about them. Question? Yes?
Any techniques for remembering names?
Oh, yes. Plenty. Love it. We all have a primary sense. Mine is visual. 80% of individuals, it's visual. Other people are auditory, and so on and so forth, kinesthetic. The best way to remember a name is to anchor them to all of your senses. For example, what is your name? Damari. Oh, that's right, Damari. If I'm meeting you for the first time, what I would do is I would look at you, I would picture a passport frame around your face. I would write Damaris right on top of the passport frame. Of course, this is in my head. I don't actually do it. I'm looking at you, Damaris. I will picture a passport frame over her face. I would write Damaris on top of it. Some of you are going like, what if I don't know how to spell Damaris? It doesn't matter. Because it's visual, it's for you. It's for you to remember the name. And at the same time, I may write it in my arm. Like I may do this and write Damaris. Why? Because I'm using all senses. The visual, I'm saying it in my head in the conversation. Damaris, Damaris. Have you heard that I said Damaris 3 times, 4 times? And I'm kinesthetic, which is I'm doing this to remember. One of those senses will trigger. One of them will trigger, and it's an easier way to remember. Does it work all the time? No. Do you have to do it in the fashion that I just told you? No. But what I am suggesting is that you use all senses when you're trying to remember a name so it can stick to your head. That's it. In addition, mention it not because it's the beautiful name to you, but because by saying it 3 times, you're going to remember. Yeah? Any other questions? Okay. Rule number 10, understand the context and the landscape of what the conversation is about. There's something to be said about individuals that can take complex items and simplify them that we all love. Anybody can make something simple complicated. True? Anybody. We all have that friend. That makes it extremely complicated. But it's only a handful of individuals that can take a very complicated item and make it very simple for everybody else to understand. You need to be there. How many of you present in meetings, in front of a crowd, anything like that? I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are unable to write down your entire presentation in the back of a business card, you have no business speaking in front of them because you do not understand your topic well enough to deliver it. You can practice all you want, you're going to have a hard time because you don't know the concept and the 3 major points you're trying to deliver. Now, some of you are going to write in the back of the business card in like font 5. It's not the point. It's not the point. Your perspective is that of one person, yours. That may not be how I'm looking at things, which means you got to be very careful on how you deliver your message to me so I can understand it. Frame problems as your perception, not as facts. This is your opinion. This is your perception. As soon as you state it as a fact, I think that you're stubborn. I think that you are a know-it-all. I think that you're trying to convince me. State it as your perception. We can both agree and get to the point where it's a fact. But right now, just baby steps. What I used to do with clients, if they hired me and I knew the solution because I had done it multiple times before, I've tried it. I couldn't walk in and say, here's the solution. Why? Because I'm not making it part of the process. They don't feel included. I would keep the solution. We would have a conversation. We would talk for a week, 2 weeks. I would ask questions until that person said, I have an idea. This is what we should do. Be like, that's fantastic. I would go back, bring the exact same solution that I had put together the same day, and I'd say, that was a great solution. I spent all night typing it up for you. Had I not included them in the solution from the beginning, they would have never connected with me because they're going to think I'm a know-it-all and I'm trying to show off. No, it's just that I've done that 3, 4, 5 times and I know what this. But my project is different. You don't understand me, Fernando. You don't understand my environment. How many of you actually say that? You've heard it, but you say it. It's different. My supervisor is different. Revisit your theme throughout the presentation. Listen, I know something for a fact. You're going to remember whatever I said at the beginning of the presentation, which was come on over, move on down, and whatever I finish up with. Everything in between, you're going to know nothing. You're going to be blah, blah, blah. Fernando said a couple of things about NLP, body language. I don't know what the hell he talked about. Because I know that. So when you connect with someone, understand a couple of things. Number one, they can only remember about 7 items. If you haven't read a book, it's called the pyramid concept. The pyramid concept explains on how we as human can only hold about 7 items in our head, in our short-term memory. And because we can only hold about 7 items, you need to make it simple for the other person not to exceed the 7 items. Otherwise, you're overloading the information and they tend to forget. You with me? So if you can chunk things up until you're 7 or less, it's to your benefit. So, really good book if you're looking for something. We've talked about this. This is from the book Just Listen. Again, this is the cycle of persuasion. You move from resisting to listening to considering to willing to do to actually doing to glad that you did. But the most difficult part, as I explained earlier, was the buy-in. So when you're trying to connect with someone, remember, don't try to get them to be glad they did. Get them to listen and consider. That's it. Once you're there, you've done half of the work. They are more willing to help you out. We got 1 minute. I'm going to summarize real quick. Break the pattern. We've talked about them. Pull them off balance. Cascade of yes. Get them to a yes mindset. That they can actually move from resisting to, yeah, I guess I can say yes. I guess I'm in a positive mindset. We can figure this out. Lower their anger or fear. Move them from an emotional state of mind to a logical state of mind. We have 3 pieces to our brain, and I'm not a scientist. One is the thinking cap. The other one is emotional, and the other one is housekeeping, your breathing, your temperature, the heart rate, and all that good stuff. If you and I are having a conversation and I am in the thinking component, it's beautiful. But if I move to the emotional component, you have to deal with the emotional piece of it. If I move from emotional because I'm getting frustrated and go to housekeeping, that means that I've disconnected from you. If I move past that point and I reach a boiling point, I'm out. I don't want to talk to you. I've actually wrote you off. So you want to keep them in the thinking side. Talk at each other to talk with each other. Talk with each other. That's how you connect. Last but not least, stipulation, which is what lawyers do. The lawyers actually bring out all the things that could possibly come up in a case as soon as possible. How many of you watched the movie Eminem, 8 Mile from Eminem? Anyone? Well, it doesn't matter if you didn't, right? At the end of the scene, and I'll finish with this, it's a rap battle. When you're Fernando, great example for executives. Hear me out. What he does when it's his turn to sing is that he brings out all of the negative stuff about himself. He airs it out. When he finishes, he tells the competitor, now you tell them something they don't know about me. Breaking the pattern, stipulation, right? What he did is, I just told everyone everything that you thought you were going to sing about. So I just rattle your cage. The other person chokes. I don't know what to sing about because you took everything away from me. That's what stipulation is. Taking all of the things that you know need to come out, you bring them out, but you bring them out in your own terms. Make sense? Yep. With that, I'll give you my information if you need to. Real quick, blueprint. When you have a conversation, we'll summarize it with this. Number one, make sure that the other person is in the right state of mind. If they're not, elicit a good state of mind. Number two, aim to connect. Remember, we haven't said a word. Aim to connect with the individual. Number three, adjust and adapt. Adjust and adapt depending on where they're going with the information and how they're acting, body language and everything. Speak their language. If I use visual terms such as I don't see a problem, don't answer by that doesn't sound right. We're not speaking the same language. Use visual, auditories, or whatever the other person is using. Listen and ask powerful questions and be a storyteller. I will leave you with that. And last but not least, remember when you're connecting, do you want to be right or do you want to win? If you want to win, then let your ego at the door. If you need to get a hold of me, this is my information. I welcome emails, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. That's my website. It contains my cell phone number. Happy to connect with all of you. And I hope you enjoy at least these last 90 minutes and the rest of the conference. Have a good day.